The No Chill podcast is brought to you by Life Recovery Water, offering up 3 tasty, thirst-quenching blends guaranteed to refuel your body while satisfying your palate. The 3 flavors, watermelon, pineapple, and coconut, rehydrate the body with necessary electrolytes such as potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, and calcium. These electrolyte properties are vital to any athlete or sports enthusiast after a tough workout, a tough training session, or a tough night out in the town. Replenishing the body with an all-natural product is the best way to recover. Life Recovery Water, get some today. On this episode of the No Chill podcast, it's a two-parter as we go all the way back with Agent Zero to where he discovered basketball as a Valley kid, and he rose through the ranks in LA, taking on the best players, making a name for himself with his unique skill set. And Gil tells us the story of how he ended up at Arizona as a player who didn't think he'd even play as a freshman, who not only became a starter, but also an NBA prospect. Be sure to subscribe to the No Chill podcast so you can get part 2 and every episode as soon as they drop.
I remember going to the park because my dad was he was a basketball coach, but that wasn't my sport. And
Did
then
he play when he was high school, young?
yeah. So he played dual sports. He was basketball. I was football, track. And one day I'm at the park, just messing around, and one of my friends was like, "Yo, we're having tryouts." So I was like, "All right, cool. Let me come on to the tryouts." So
6th grade?
now this is like fourth, fifth. I was about 10, 11. And then what they did was they put everybody in line. We had to say our positions. So I just copied what he said. It was like point guard. and then we went through the tryouts.
No idea what a point guard did.
Didn't no idea. I didn't. I couldn't dribble. I was just athletic. So I ended up getting drafted by the Running Rebels. The Running Rebels was my first Park League team.
Okay, and this was in what part of California?
I'm from Sherman Oaks Valley, Van Nuys. They switched the area, so it was, I guess at that time Van Nuys, Van Nuys.
Okay, so at this time you had played a little bit.
I played a little bit, but I didn't really. I wasn't really into the sport. There was no. I just did it because my friend was playing.
And I think that's how most kids get into a sport. You pick up soccer because all the other kids in your grade are playing soccer.
Yeah, and that's how it went down. So I didn't really grasp anything. I just, I watched it here and there, played junior high, and then I started getting a feel for it, and started playing a lot of it. Just playing with this team, playing at the park all day long in the summer, and actually started like, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this. And then I don't know what happened, but my dad's team was this elite team that they called themselves the Dream Team Bulls in Park League. So they were like fucking amazing.
So this was like mid 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second 3P.
And so his team used to just pick on me. Coach's kid, suck, blah, blah, blah. So what I decided to do is I wanted to prove them motherfuckers wrong. So I just started training. So what I used to do is get my little $6, $7, go to the Blockbuster at the time and buy they had like jam session, CDs or DVDs at the time. It was like jam session, all-star ankle breakers. And I used to buy those. And then I'll sit there, take this big ass notebook, and then I'll write all the moves like Kenny Smith, all right, in and out, crossover. So I'm just watching.
Who else were the guys on that team?
It was like Tim Hardaway. And then that's when I fell in love with Penny Hardaway. And then I was like, oh, I'm in love with Penny. Like, this is my dude. That's who I want to be. Like, it was a Kenny Anderson. It was like all those, Derek Coleman, Grandmama. So I'm just writing all the moves that's being done, and then I go mimic them. And that's how I started learning how to play, watching that DVD, just watching the moves, like trying to learn how to do the moves. Like I'm doing it 100, 200, same fucking moves over and over. And then eventually I just started dominating my age group.
Okay, so then on to high school.
On to high school, it was I got a rude awakening my freshman year. So my dad's team all went to the same school, which was Birmingham. So 3 of the 5 starters came from his, it was on his team. So that was the reason they put me on the JV because, he, basically recruited, 3 players to Birmingham High School. So that team was really dominant. I was on the JV, didn't play. I was just a kid that was known, got nice.
But you
sneakers.
had to have skill to make the team.
I was better than B's and C's, but wasn't good enough to play JV.
Were you starting on the JV team?
No, I didn't play much. Like, I think I played 8 minutes the whole year. That was the last game, and I had 11 points.
And were the other kids bigger than you? Kind of bigger, faster, more?
No,
advanced?
I was on a track team, so I was a track star at the school. I was the 400. I was their 400 runner. I was the anchor on the 400, the 4x4 relay. So I was very big in track there, and it was a big track school too. But I wasn't. I was just a goofy kid, on the basketball team, the one who played all the games, and because I didn't take basketball serious because I was a track runner. And then the coach at the end of the season said something that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Made an impression.
Yeah, but I got to thank him because his name is Al Bennett. He said, "You will never play on my varsity team." And it stung so bad because it's like, that's my dad's players. It's.
Did he tell you why? Or just, you will
sucked.
never play?
I sucked.
Yeah, but sometimes a kid knows.
I sucked. Okay, I wasn't good. I was goofy, wasn't really good. But that feeling I felt of, I would never play on your varsity team. Like never. Like how do you say never? Like when I'm a senior, I still won't make this fucking team.
Still no.
And that's what I'm thinking. And because I'm like, okay, they have a point guard. His name was Fahim. Oh, he was so nice. Like he had that Tim Hardaway crossover. Like it was like he had the burst and the speed. So some people are fast but not quick. He was fast and quick. So when he crossed over, you was not like he was the first ankle breaker, like consistent ankle breaker that I've ever seen. He just the first person that just consistently shook people up. So I'm looking at him like, yeah, I'm not going to take his position anytime soon.
Well, you went from that jam session tape, seeing the Tim
Hardaway, and then you see someone like
him
live
right in front of
just
you, right.
breaking people down. So you got him, you got like David Redman, you had a guy named Kizzy. Like these guys basically tried to leave out of high school. Like they actually tried. Like, so that's how good they were. So when he said never, like it really like hurt because okay, I could never play. So I spent the whole summer just training balls out. Like my dad worked graveyard shift, for UPS. So he left at 12, 2 in the morning. I also woke up at 12, 2 in the morning and I went across the street to the park and I just worked on my skill. So I was at the park from midnight to 7 and then like in the summer. And then when school started, I'll go from the park, take a shower, go to school, and that was my routine. So one of the coaches from Grant High School named Eric Brown seen me and said, "Hey, where do you go to school?" And I said, "Oh, I go to Birmingham, and I'm trying to make the team next year." He was like, "I didn't see you this year." I was like, "Oh, I was on JV. I was on JV, and I didn't play either. I didn't play, so you wouldn't see me."
But where did he see you play?
At the park.
Okay.
Yeah, he just seen me at the park just playing. He's like, well, Grant High School, they're looking for, a point guard. I was like, "You looking for a point guard on JV?" He's like, "No,
you know
varsity."
what that is now.
He was like, "Varsity." He's like, I was like, "Varsity? You think I can play varsity?" He was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can play varsity. Come to the tryout." Came to the tryout and impressed the coach where he wanted me as a starting point guard. So I'm trying to convince my dad, like, yo, I should transfer because Grant High School said I'm going to be a starting point guard. So my dad was like, you sure? You sure this is what the coach said? And I'm like, yeah, no, the coach said I'm gonna be a starting point guard. So I play on the summer league team that summer. First game was against a kid named Isaiah Thomas. Played for Van Nuys. He was
Another Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, he was the stud of the Valley. Especially in that position. 22 points.
All right.
I scored 22 points. My first varsity experience. After the game, coach said, "You're going to be an NBA player." Get the fuck out of here.
You were like a month ago. You were told you were
a month ago.
play varsity.
I'm not going to make NBA player. Get the fuck out of here. He said, "If you want to be an NBA player, you're going to be an NBA player." And I'm like, okay, this is a recruiting tool to get me to the school, but I'm already sold because I just scored 22 points. So we transfer, and I've had a lot of luck on my side. A lot, like to get to where I got. As much as I practiced and prepared, luck.
Because, what do you mean by that? As far as timing or
timing? My timing, my path wasn't as difficult when I think about it. Like, so my first year, I met Grant. Our team was decent on paper going into the season. Coach decided he was going to wreck the team up and make it my team. So he kicks the starting center off. Kicks the starting center off, said you're going to be a bad influence on him. Kicks the 2 guard off, bad influence. Gave the 3 guard, our small forward, an option. You can leave 2 and transfer, or you can say you played with an NBA player. Lozano was like, I just want to play basketball.
Take options.
Yeah, I just want to play basketball. I ain't got time to be, So he kicks the 2 best players off, and then it's just my team. I got to do everything. So my first year on varsity, I averaged 22.5. And the only reason I averaged 22.5 is because we didn't have a shot clock. So when I played against my old team, Birmingham, they held the ball the whole time. They played 4 corners and held the ball. So after that season, my coach went to the board and said, there's a kid in Beljeff named Ruben Douglas, averaging 30. He has a shot clock. They got all these leagues with shot clocks. We have our first NBA player that's going to come from the Valley with a shot clock on. Remove the shot clock so he can blossom. And they did.
Yeah, so there's that timing where they had to change things around.
The timing of him kicking the players off.
Before, right?
Yeah, the kids, the kids getting kicked off. And then, they changing the shot clock. So.
And if you had stayed at Birmingham, I think maybe that's what the coach saw, that you weren't patient enough or the type of player that was
I wasn't
slow
good.
Things down.
That's what I got to give him. I wasn't good.
Okay, so that motivated you.
That's what I said. That motivated me to
work.
To not have the feeling I felt that moment he told me that I'll never make the team. That's what I said. I can't say that I was the star and he was holding me down. Like, no, I wasn't good. Like, compared to what he had. I was good for my age, but I was not good for what he had. So that really woke me up. So I was a Valley player. So my experience was I wasn't a big AAU player. I was a Park League player. I played in Park League, Adult League. Balboa Park, playing in Adult League with my dad. Venice Beach on Saturday and Sunday, Pierce College with the Jamie Foxxes and, all those guys on Monday, Wednesday, trying to get on and watching grown-ups play and watching, how physical they were. And that's what I introduced myself into.
So as a high school player, how did that help you playing against older guys that more physical?
It helped me because, as a Valley kid, we were considered soft compared to LA schools. We wasn't that grimy type of basketball player. We were just soft white kid players.
Now, which LA schools at the time? So the difference between
any LA school.
So Fairfax,
Crenshaw, Dominguez. Those were the big schools. I was a Valley kid. There was no players coming from the Valley. Nobody was looking at the Valley.
Who were the top LA players at the time?
I don't remember my age group, but you have Baron Davis, Paul Pierce, because I used to go watch them. So you have
Baron
Tayshaun,
Davis, Crossroads,
yeah,
Paul Pierce, Inglewood.
yeah, Tayshaun Prince. My age group was like Tito Maddox, and then the out of state guys. Like when I started getting known, it was like the Carlos Boozers, the Mark Johnsons, the Sean Stevensons. Those guys that come in, and that's when I got to really see talent. Because I wasn't playing locally. My local was at the park. So if you wasn't a Hispanic dude playing outside with jeans on, I didn't know who the fuck you were. I didn't know who the fuck you were, So the only time I really seen talent is when I went to the pump tournament. And then, like around my sophomore year, I got with the, Dana and David Pump.
Okay, so then when you were playing at those levels, when did it click for you that I guess you probably were a bit unsure of yourself at that point? You had something to prove.
I gotta thank, Howard Levine, my high school coach, because he really pushed me to the limit. And when I say push me to the limit was nutrition or a recess, 15 minutes recess. I better be inside that gym getting shots up. 15 minutes, I had 15 minutes. I had to get to my class and to that gym and get at least 100 shots up in the 15 minutes because we had a shooting machine. Lunchtime, boom. So what I used to do my sophomore and junior year, we used to play on the playground, at lunchtime on the basketball courts. It was actually a big thing. Like it was because, I had the big name. So it's like, oh shit, they're playing and it's free. So the basketball team. So like other little schools, like other kids will come and play. So the whole school basically be watching us play at lunch. By the time I got to my senior year, coach made us come inside. But I had to shoot at nutrition or recess. I had to shoot at lunch. I had to shoot after school. Like after we had practice, sixth period, I had to shoot after school. I had to shoot before school. So he made sure that I was practicing and practicing and practicing.
But also, did you have that itch to where you were in class, or you just couldn't wait for that next game or that next?
Yeah, I live walking distance from school, so I used to I thought every part of it. I remember watching something that every part of what you do, you need to be training. So I used to dribble the ball, do my moves, going to school and back. Like I remember seeing Gabrielle Union. Like, later on, once I became an NBA player, she was like, do you know we used to be neighbors? And I said, what? She's like, we used to be neighbors, and you used to bounce that fucking ball up and down the street 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. Like what the fuck what the fuck were you doing? I was like, I don't know. I was trying to get better. I don't know what I was doing. Because I was in the streets just up and down. And so I guess that's how she remembered me, from the kid just dribbling the ball up, which was funny. That's ironic. Yeah. It's ironic.
The results. Yeah. But then also, knowing you're a competitor. So I guess at what point did you, I think where it clicked for you, to where you're, like everything you had a challenge, and, you were a leader for your team in high school, and, these other opportunities.
It did. I mean, my junior year, when the white boy player, me, went into Crenshaw High, because we made the playoffs, 16 seed against a 1 seed.
And so the Crenshaw players, the LA kids, were calling you what?
The white boy player. Yeah, because one of my best friends growing up, Gary Looney, he's a Valley kid who went to Crenshaw. So he's telling them, because we grew up together, he's telling, he's about to mop you, motherfucker. So they're like, man, we ain't let no white boy player. We got the golden gloves. We got to lock his ass up. He ain't going to score 15. At this time, I'm averaging 30-something. Yeah, he ain't going to score 15. Came out. The score was like 17-20. I got 17. Like, so that's where I actually made my name, like, known around California. Like, the Valley kid just put up 60, 55 on Crenshaw in 3 quarters. And then that's when I started getting recognition that, I got on the traveling team. Top prospects, went to Vegas, bust their ass, but had to go to summer school. Because at this point it's like, college is going to start looking at you. You need to get your grades better.
So then on the travel team and getting out in these tournaments, were you getting looks at from other schools?
A little bit, because I wasn't in that circle like that. You know, that's why I said I was a local kid. But
So you were always going to stay in the valley. You
yeah,
were
I was
never gonna
always,
go to these
you know,
other
that's what I
LA
said, because, you know, these kids now they're being seen at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You know, they're already known. I'm 15 years old and I haven't really got outside. So what I did was I'll go to the pump tournament, you know, the pump and run tournaments, and if it's top 20 for the All-Star, I always made the All-Star. I was number 20, number 15, number 10. So I make an All-Star, never really played. You know, so, but I was good enough to make the All-Star. So I was always flying under the radar. Like, so my roommates was Dunleavy. Michael Dunleavy was my roommate all through high school. Like, whenever, we always asked for each other. So I used to learn.
Where was he from?
He was from, at that point, they were coming from Portland. They were coming from Portland because I think his dad, because I used to take, I used to take his NBA socks.
Yeah, those were cool to have.
And
now you can get them at Foot Locker.
And Luke Rittenauer.
Seattle. Right?
Yeah. So those was that's funny. Those were my two roommates. So I used to watch them and learn footwork and mechanics. You know.
And also at this point, you're fine tuning the game.
Yeah. So I'm just details, right? I was a machine. I absorbed everything. I'm looking at what made people better, and I tried to, and I used to always keep a little paper and I write down, okay, hesitation, that's what he's good at, and I put that into my game. You know, so.
From watching your peers or like
peers,
not the
opponents,
NBA jam session
anymore. You know, I'm out of NBA jam session, so now it's peers, opponents. I never looked at a player as like he sucked. You know, he's good at something, I want to know what it is, and I want to put it into my game. And that's how I started looking at basketball.
And did that continue all the way through the NBA?
Yeah, all the way. It never stopped. You know, so my senior year, I remember my biggest test my high school year was a kid named Ruben Douglas. He was averaging like 36. He played at Bell Jeff. And my junior year, his senior year, he was averaging like 30, 32, 33. I'm at 29. Next person's 21. So we were above the crowd. But I was a point. He was more of a 2. And we finally matched up in the Bell Jeff tournament. I hit a quadruple double on him, like 46, 13, 10, and 12. It was one. Yeah. It was one of those games. And
Challenge.
So it was like, oh, like Thanos got beat. You know, someone knocked Thanos off. He's the new, you know, so I became like the new king of the valley, even though he still was the top dog. But I really just killed the top dog in everyone's mind. So I became the dude, but there was always one dude, like even to this day, his name is Devin Montgomery. Like he is the local hero. Because when we were little, you know, during that my development stage, his AAU team was called the Cavs, and I played for the pump and run at North Hollywood. It was like the ARC. I played for the ARC. It was the ARC Rich Kid League. You know, nobody's really good. You know, so the kid named Devin Montgomery. Every time we played him, they beat the shit out of us. So he always dominated. Not necessarily me, but the team. Right. Like I was probably 1-20 against his team.
Right. They came in with a loaded squad.
Yeah.
That probably gave you more touches.
Yeah. But because
so again, luck.
But they're pressing the whole time. So I'm, you know, if I scored 25, it was one of those 4 for 50 type of games. I never played good, you know, because I had to work for which made me better. So what ended up happening is my name became top dog. The kid,
you got the king.
The kids is like, nah, Devin's the top dog. I'm like, Devin? What do you mean? I'm not 5'6" anymore, bro. I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4". Devin has no place to be in the same, you know, room with me anymore. We're not kids anymore. This ain't AAU basketball. This is high school basketball. I'm averaging 20 something. I'm player of the year. I don't know where Devin is. I'm first team everything. I'm. So what ends up happening? It was so much ruckus about Devin that they had to do a war on the floor. It was a thing called War on the Floor, where they had a 3-point contest to see who's the best 3-point shooter in the Valley. Dunk contest, one-on-one contest.
Where was this?
This was I think it was at Chatsworth High School.
Okay.
So all the top dunkers, I took the 3-point shooting contest home.
Check.
Yeah, check that off. I didn't enter the dunk contest because there was a kid named Mike out of Calabasas who jumped out the white boy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
White Mike.
Yeah, white Mike.
All
Jumped
right.
out the hockey gym. He took home the dunk contest. And in the championship, the focal point is on me and Devin. We ended up in the championship together. And just like I told everybody, he's still 5'7" now. Like, I'm a big boy. So I just bodied him, took home the one-on-one. And then from there, we went into our senior years, and it was just a whole nother level of basketball.
Okay, so senior year, you came in. That was clearly your team. You had established yourself as top dog, top player. You said so. Now colleges are coming around, right? You're getting looks that way.
Yeah. Okay. So because I wasn't exposed to all these AAU tournaments, I only really had CSUN looking at me. So CSUN was there was a scout there who was looking at me and coming to every game and all this.
CSUN, Cal State,
Cal State Northridge. Well, this is like my junior year. He was coming in, and then he says, "Yo, I'm getting a job at Kansas State. You're gonna be my recruit." I was like, "Oh shit, Kansas State, that's a big school." Like, "Oh shit, hell yeah!" So Kansas State was like first on board. That was really where I was going. Kansas State.
You hadn't visited yet, though.
I didn't visit. I wasn't visiting.
Yeah, go see Kansas
and then
first.
DePaul came in. They came in really, really heavy.
Who was the coach there at that time? Dave
Pat
Liddell?
Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
So Pat Kennedy came in, and then the third school was UCLA. I mean, not UCLA, but Arizona. But USC was they did their job. I mean, Mike Bibby, Henry Bibby, right. He was sending probably 100 letters a week. He was sending 100 letters a week. But there was something in me that I was raised by my father. Which is rare. I wasn't raised by my mom. I was raised by my father. So I couldn't understand that him and his son didn't have a relationship. I couldn't understand it. So I didn't really look at that team as really, it was just something I mean,
his relationship with his son, which is its whole own story.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
As a coach, it shouldn't matter.
I know, but to me as a kid, it's like, wait, why does your son play? Why does your son go to Arizona, not your school? And that was my question. And then he goes to the spill, and it's like, like if your son doesn't play for you, you must not be that good of a coach. It was, I don't know what I was thinking, but I mean, I didn't take them serious. So it was like Kansas State, DePaul, and then Arizona came to see me, had the worst game. Oh, we're playing against Silmar, which was one of the it was a rival team. Like it was at that time they had a bunch of niggas on the team. They did. So it was a goon squad. So it was like one of those games where that whole team was basically just trying to shut me down. So, I had to come to play. It wasn't that.
And you were up against that kind of matchup a lot.
No.
They weren't shutting you down on this team that was.
That team was, I mean, they were the dominant team in the Valley. They were the dominant. They had the most athletic kids, the most skilled kids. So other than that, I just ran through them. I mean, Harvard Westlake was good. They had the two twins, but I didn't. Collinsons. But I didn't play against. I wasn't in their league. So Silmar, we played against Silmar. Had a bad outing in front of Lute Olson, and then I remember after the game I said, "Man, I'm sorry. I'll score 55. I'll score 50 the next game." I hit 55 next game.
Was he at that game?
No.
What did he say to you? If you said
so
you
when
were sorry,
when it came to my visit, it was They came to the house, and it was the honesty that intrigued me. He said, I don't know who you are. Never seen you in person. My coach, Rodney Tension, is very high on you. I've seen highlights, on a plane here. You're the type of guard we want. You're our third option. I'll be honest with you. We have a kid named Jimmy Haywood and Kevin Gaines, another kid out of Vegas. He was about 6'5", 6'6". He ended up playing with Jamal Crawford over at Michigan. They were the 1 and the 2, and he said those are they're in front of you. I was like, okay. He said, but if you can consider us, if those two guys does it, I'm about championships, and then slammed his ring against the coffee table, which was glass. Oh shit, he broke it. That's what I'm thinking. But
yeah, that's the Pat Riley move.
And then when he left, I was like, I think I want to go there. What do you mean? He just told you that one, you're third option. Two, they already have the player of the nation, Jason Gardner, coming at the 1. They got Lou Recker, who's at the 2-3, who was at Indiana, who's coming. They have another guard, JUCO runner-up of the year, Lamont Frazier. He's coming. He said Kansas State said they're going to give you 1,000 minutes as a freshman. So what the fuck does that mean? What is 1,000 minutes as a freshman? I don't know what that means. And then he said, and then you need to go to your recruiting trip to DePaul first. I was like, okay, I'll go to DePaul first, and then I want to go check out Arizona. So the week I was going to DePaul, Pat Kennedy's mother died, so they had to cancel my visit. So I called Arizona, said if no one's coming this week, I would love to try my visit. Went there, had a blast, got home, told my dad, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
So it started with honesty.
Yeah, it started with honesty.
And then it was the visit that sealed it.
I think at that point that I was defying all the odds that people put in front of me, that the fact that you tell me that you're going to redshirt me and I'm going to be a 6-year senior didn't sit well with me. So I was going there just to prove you wrong.
Yeah, and I think all those names that you threw out there, those elite level players, you're thinking, I want to measure myself up against the best.
Yeah, that was one. That was one. That was one. But deep down inside, like I told my dad, well, if Ruben Douglas is the starting 2 guard and he averaged 12 in college and I bust his ass in high school, I think I'm going to be all right. He said, yeah, you just played high school basketball last year and he played college. He's not the same Ruben. And I said, well, I'm not the same me either. So I go to school and then I go to my class and say, I have 2 options, Kansas State or Arizona. All went Arizona. So I was like, oh, Arizona it is.
I mean, also Arizona, I think, was more attractive.
Yeah, it was more attractive. I mean, it's in hindsight, I mean, it was one of those things where I think I chose Arizona because of the name, the prestige.
They were the shit at the time. They were the pretty
telling
girl
my friend,
that asked you to.
But that's what I said. Telling my friends, I'm going to Arizona. I mean, I'm going to Kansas State. Like, what? Kansas State? Where the fuck is that at? That's not Kansas. Kansas. Kansas State. So, but to say, I'm going to Arizona next year.
Right.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I did it. I remember going to Venice Beach. Venice Beach, talking trash to this dude, giving him buckets. He's flying through the air. And he says something like, "Gang, get your punk ass off." And I was like, man, I ain't worrying about this shit, man. I'm going to Arizona next year. And dude, literally laughed in my face. Arizona? Lute Olson? Lute Olson ain't picking no bum-ass player like you. Get the fuck off the court. Arizona. Get the fuck off. Like really shushed me. And it really like, damn, are they that fucking good? Right.
Yeah, and then what are you thinking about yourself?
Like he
step
really
your
like
game
like
up to
like
level,
literally
right?
put me like, cause I'm a shit talker on the court. I was a shit talker,
Yeah, he shut you up.
and he was the Venice Beach legend. And I mean, his name was Cindy. I forgot his last name, but he had like
the Wesley Snipes.
yeah,
White
he was
Man Can't Jump.
Yeah, he was literally built just like 6'6", 48-inch vertical. I mean, he was Michael Jordan.
Okay.
You know, so him basically shutting me up, I went back to the lab, said, I might not be ready. I need to get ready. So I was doing 5 miles a day. Like I was really getting myself ready to enter college basketball.
How much did track help you?
For basketball, I mean, it just helped me with speed and my first step. Conditioning, nothing. I mean, to get in basketball condition, you got to play basketball. But just the endurance of, putting my body through running and running and running and not giving up.
It's the athleticism.
And the competition, that I'm literally trying to beat the next person. And it's I have 200 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters. I mean, so it really helped me with competition, focus, and keeping that focus every minute, every step of the way. And then I think that mentally helped me for basketball.
Who was your visit host?
My visit host was Richard Jefferson and Luke Walton, which is probably the two worst hosts in hostess history. I mean, usually you're trying to get a guy to come to your school,
Right?
Not them. Like they want to, Richard Jefferson. They want to bring you here. Oh man, I guess this program is going to shit. Like that's how he sound. That's what he's telling. Like, yo, no, we don't want you. We really don't want you here. Like, no, there's better options for us.
Meanwhile, you were expecting.
Yeah, you were expecting like, oh yeah, where the girls at? Like about to get laid. No, it was the opposite. Like, no, we really don't want you. Like it's like, yeah, where y'all at? I'm in the hotel. No, we told you we don't want you, so we're not actually picking you up, bro. Like no, literally, they they left me in the hotel the whole time. And then I end up getting to the gym where they were playing pickup, and then played well, and then I was like, okay, this is where I want to come. But I when I got to Arizona, I had one mission. I'll be honest, it had nothing to do with school. If I'm going to be a 6-year senior, I have enough time to fucking go to class, but I had 6 years in my mind to become the best player that I can possibly be. So I trained nonstop. We had he was a player coach, Josh Pashner. Who was a workaholic too. So he was my rebounding coach, him and a kid named Murphy. And I'll call them 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and we used to get shots up. And when I didn't have him, I used to do this thing when I was growing up. I used to tape my palm. So I etch my fingers out and tape the print to my hat. And I did it here. Uh-huh. And I used to tape it to my hat, so there's always a hand in my face.
There we go.
And I used to shoot like this, so I'm always used to someone's hand in my face, so it became regular.
Who's the coach that showed you that?
Dave Hopla. I seen a shooting clinic when I was at the pump camp one year, and Dave Hopla, did that. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. So all my hats had that. And I didn't wear a hat without a hand in my face. So I used to just train, shooting with a hand in my face growing up. So when I got to college, got my hat, went to the rec center, and all the kids from like the junior college Pima, and like any junior college or just, student athletes used to go there And I used to just be there all day, just playing, just working on my game, just nonstop. I rarely played with the team because, I was the oddball. I was I didn't have the big name. I wasn't player of the year.
Was that because you were where you played in the Valley, California, coming from?
Yeah, because I wasn't recognized. Jason Gardner, player of the year, McDonald's All-American. Richard Jefferson, McDonald's All-American. Michael Wright, McDonald's All-American. Lauren Woods, McDonald's All-American. So all these guys is McDonald's All-American. So they're really the shit.
And you came from this homegrown environment where you weren't part of that circuit, that LA circuit where, the big time.
No, and that's what I said. I wasn't like my senior year, averaging 38 a game. I was ranked exactly 100. I was, and that was big for me. Like, fuck, I made 100.
Then all these guys.
So
top 5, top 10.
So when I got to college, you know how I said that it just somehow opens up for me. Like I don't want people to think that dreams come easy. I put the work in. Like I'm waking up 6 a.m, running 5 miles a day. Like I will run 5 miles a day, and then we'll have team practice 2 hours later where we had to run 5 miles, and I'm first every time. I'm first by fucking 20 minutes every time. And I had a walk-on by name of Mike Shortley, who, for some reason, decided he wanted to push me. Weird. His father played in the NBA, and I guess he seen something in me where he was going to push me. He only challenged me. And he said, hey, I know you're going to be first. I'm going to keep trying to beat you. Like, what do you mean?
A little bit of that luck you're talking
like,
about.
What do you mean? Like, yeah, what do you mean
right?
me? Like, why are you picking on me? Like, I'm nobody. He says, no. I was here this morning watching you run 5 miles. So, this is going to be your second 5 mile of the day. I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to be on your heels. I don't give a shit if you're 5 minutes in front of me, 10 minutes in front of me. I'm going to be behind you.
So he saw something in you.
Yeah. And sure enough, it's like I always heard his foot. He can be, like I can be one lap in front of him, and he is still talking. Don't worry, I'm going to catch up. And he just forced me, especially conditioning-wise, to always keep going. Like I've never thanked him for it, but he was my guy. He was my guy that pushed me on my heels, when it came to conditioning. And then when it came to shooting and working out, it's just I didn't need coaches. I didn't need, I was self going. I didn't need, all these new trainers teaching me these moves. It's like I can put up 1,000 shots just spinning that ball to myself, working on my shit.
But how did that work when you were working yourself into the program, playing for the?
Josh Pashner and Murphy, that when I needed a rebound, I'm practicing. So they used to tell the coach, like, hey, listen, Gilbert is really good. He's really working. He's a hidden gem. And what was funny is, I remember I was at Jordan camp before my senior year, and Lute Olson came out and said, oh, no. Jordan said that this kid is not going to be redshirted. Lute Olson has a hidden gem here. Like Jordan said that. Like,
to Lute?
Yeah, you have a hidden gem. He's not. He was just here, and he tore the camp apart.
Right. So you were a counselor at his camp.
Yeah, I was a counselor going into my senior. Yeah.
So and all the other counselors are.
Yeah, like Jason Williams was there. Young Amari Stoudemire was there. Like
Amari was a high school kid.
Yeah, high school kid. Yeah, he was a high school. Like he was like sophomore.
Had to be some Carolina guys.
DeJuan Wagner came through. Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson. You had like players coming through, and I was killing.
Because at that camp, after they do all the camp stuff, we coaches play each other.
We play each other.
And MJ played.
Yeah. So when I got to Arizona, those two guys was like, yo, he's putting the work in, and I was a terrorist in college. I stole golf carts and all that stuff. I didn't.
As a freshman?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I was doing that, and I remember Coach Ross pulled me over one day and said, "Who the fuck do you think you are? You're one person. You're destroying the Arizona name by your little fucking antics." my freshman year, I had an 0.2.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go to class.
Focused on basketball.
I was focused, I was focused on basketball. Like I spent 99.9% of my college time in a gym, and like as much as Coach Lute Olson wanted to like discipline me, it was hard to because it's like, well, I can't say he's running around in the cafeteria. He's here.
It's hard to be mad at that.
Yeah, and that was I think that was the double-edged sword. It's like, well, Gilbert's not in class. What do you mean he's not in class? And then he looks down like, oh, there he is. Like, oh yeah, he's kind of working hard too. So it was one of those things where I spent my time in that arena working on my game. So when official practice came in, when there was a time for the coaching staff to get a hold of the players and let's get to practice, I wasn't the same player that they recruited. Like I wasn't the same player anymore. I was developed far beyond what they thought. So when we got to practice, remember, I have no rules on me. I don't technically, for this team, I don't even exist. But what I did have was a roommate who was the starting point guard. Like he already got the job. Like he was the starting point guard and I was his roommate and he felt I was the best player on the team in his mind. Like, oh.
So did he feel threatened by that?
No, because I wasn't going for his position. I was a two guard. Mm-hmm. But like he knows my talent.
I guess not threatened by his position, but also his role on the team as leader as his team.
Like he's seen what I was capable of. So when coaching, so Lute Olson didn't start off as a starting five in the backup. It was basically, all right, my point guard, Jason Gardner, and Lamont Frazier. You guys are captains, backup point guard. Pick your team, and that's going to be your team. First pick, I got Gilbert.
Okay.
Coach is like, oh, that's an interesting pick. Your first person you pick is Gilbert. And then, like you would think Lauren Woods, Michael Wright. So my team was basically, I got Jason Gardner, and Luke Walton. I'm the only scorer, baby. They're just feeding me the ball.
But is that a bit of their strategy too? The coaches want to see what players, as far as chemistry goes, what players who wants to play with each other.
Yeah, I don't know what their strategy was, but it worked in my favor.
Well, yeah, it was a great highlight on you. You shine. But I'm thinking as a coach, you're going to want to see what players gel with.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that you put it into your players' hands and see what they're looking at. So we start practice. I'm dominating practice. Like I'm really ahead of the team.
Who is guarding you?
Ruben Douglas.
Okay.
Now I was always faster, but now I'm faster, just as strong. He was a tween, like he wasn't athletic, but he was like a Klay Thompson type. He had a flame on him. Like 6'6", he literally had a flame. But I shot the ball just as well, but I was an all-around scorer. So, I had the mid-range jumping ability, so.
With moves, with creativity.
So, I was a one-on-one player, even though he was a one-on-one player, but, with my speed, get to the basket, I just had a knack for scoring. Our battling, and I was just one step, two step, three steps in front of him. So I remember we had the red and blue game. And coach said, all right, the best five from the red and blue game in their position will be starting our first scrimmage. Okay. Like starting? Like they didn't have not red shirt. Like I have like I'm not even thinking about red shirt anymore. No, you just gave me a chance to win a starting position for a first preseason game. Hey, Jason, yeah, just give me the rock. We won the game. Like, I didn't even have to, I didn't have to say it. He already seen that look. Like, I went from goofball to straight Terminator.
So
Red and blue game.
where it clicked.
Yeah. We blew their asses out. I had like 38-7. Got a standing ovation. That's where a little kid wrote, he had it scratched off, Gilbert Arenas, scratched that shit off, and wrote 0 to hero. And that's where I became 0 to hero. 0 to hero. He scratched my name off and wrote it right there. And when I walked off, it was like 0 to hero. He's like, you're my favorite player.
So now you had an identity.
Now I had an identity. The first, we played against like some pump, it was like a pump team. And we played against them in our first scrimmage game. And Ruben Douglas didn't show up. Didn't show up. And I'm like, the players didn't know what happened. We go in, we play, I scored like 20. And then coach came in and said, I want to let you guys know that Ruben decided he's going to transfer. He doesn't want to split time with a freshman. And I'm sitting there like,
all eyes turned to you.
Like I'm sitting like, wait. So I'm like, Jason, so I start? I'm an official starter? Oh shit. Yeah, I'm a starter. Like I'm really like, yo, I'm a starter. Like, I'm a starter. Like, I call my dad. Like, yo, Dad, I'm starting. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, no. Ruben quit. Like, he quit. Like, he's going to transfer. He quit. Same time after Ludoson tells us Ruben quit, Lou Recker stands up and says, the fact that a freshman just took a sophomore spot, he's going to be here. I mean, from what the looks I looked at it, 2-3 years. Richard Jefferson, 2-3 years. I'm trying to make it to the NBA. I'm not going to make it to the NBA standing behind these two. I'm going to transfer to. And he transferred in to transfer to Iowa. So I had no competition.
Also for the coaches, though, that now swung the identity of this team.
Not really.
Yeah, it made it a lot
Not
younger.
really. It took away, like, we were basic. I mean, the way that team was built, we were basically like, we were like a Golden State, damn near. I mean, you're talking about,
After those,
we had the most talent. The start of that season, like without me even shining, we had 4 All-Americans, 5, Luke Recker. We had 5 All-Americans, JUCO runner-up All-American. I mean, we had a stacked fucking team.
right. So now they change the makeup of that team. You take those players away.
No, I mean, you took away, you took away the shooting guard, insert me in, and then you take away Luke Recker, who wasn't going to play until the following year. He had to sit out a year. We go into the NIT tournament. You got 4 starting All-Americans, and then him. So I was a redheaded stepchild going into NIT tournament, and I win. I went NIT most valuable player. I heard Dick Vitale say, "Diaper Dandy," right? He says Diaper Dandy, and then he says another name. We have Joseph Forte, another Diaper Dandy out of North Carolina, just won. We have 2 freshmen winners of the NIT. Like, so the joy I just had for when I NIT straight went to, who the fuck is Joseph Forte? Oh, so I got competition out there. like my mind, it didn't, I can only see what was around me. I didn't understand that, oh, there's other people in this world. Like, my mind does, like,
Well, I think that's common for high school kids too. That they know
Right.
your area,
Yeah,
L.A.
I know my
LA
area.
kids.
So like,
Arizona in reality wasn't really that far away. Still
no,
West
I
Coast.
was local.
Right.
I mean, I stayed local. So I didn't like the only time I seen players is when they came to California and all this. Like I went to ABCD camp, but I got hurt, so I didn't really get to mingle with anybody. But when I heard Joseph Forte, like we both freshmen won the MVP. Oh, that's my competition now. Oh yeah, I'm going to focus on that motherfucker now. Like because that was my first rival that I didn't know. I didn't know nothing about him. I didn't know where he came from. I just anytime games played, I looked at his stat sheet to see what he's doing. Like DeMar Johnson was number one player in my class growing up. He was at Cincinnati. I didn't pay attention to him because he was out of my league already. He was like the Jordan of our class. So I didn't. I'm not looking that far up.
So he was a few rungs higher on the ladder.
Yeah, he was.
Forte.
He was all the way on the ladder. It was like
so Forte was next guy up.
No, to me because you got to remember there's no future NBA. That got to remember I'm going from redshirting 6-year senior somehow just got the starting position. So there was no NBA thought process.
Well, that
DeMar Johnson.
Mike told you that you were an NBA guy.
No, he said I was
in
a
high
gym.
school. You were told you were an NBA
by
guy.
my coach. Like,
Sure.
that was a recruiting. That was recruiting. But so my freshman year, there was no thought of NBA. So when I looked at DeMar Johnson, oh, he's an NBA player, so he don't count. He doesn't count. Get the fuck out of here. I don't. So But Joseph Forte, I don't know what he is, but Dick Vitale said diaper dandy with him. That's my nemesis. So I used to, and my trainer, her name is Carla. She was a Olympian shot putter. Anytime she felt I was not in the mood to do anything, she said, "So do you think Joseph Forte is over in North Carolina, pouting?"
It's like Rocky and Drago.
Yeah. But I didn't know nothing about like it was like a self. Like I just appointed him that he was going to be my rival.
Right.
Like I didn't know him, never talked to him, never even played against him.
Did he know you were?
No, that's what I said. Never.
You were rivals? Right.
No, that's what I said. It was just someone I decided I was going to be my rival because we both got called diaper dandies by the same person. So I go through my freshman year, second leading scorer on the team behind Michael Wright. So he averaged 15.4, averaged 15.2. End of the meeting, the end of that season, we end up getting hurt towards the end of the year, where we limped into the tournament where we got put out by Wisconsin. But we were a dominant team. It was Cincinnati with Kenyon Martin. We thought we were better than them. Like we really thought we was like, fuck Cincinnati, we'll whoop their ass. We're more talented. And we end up getting a highlight tape of what they did. So we seen the clotheslines by Kenyon Martin, the tomahawk dunks by Kenyon Martin. You had Kenny.
They had another big on that team.
No, they had Kenyon Martin. The guard Kenny. They had DeMar Johnson, and then a kid named Logan, the point guard Logan, and they were whooping ass to the point where we was like, oh yeah, they're gonna be number one. We're good at two. We're good at two. I don't think we're not ready for that kind of. We were prima donnas. we're not ready for that. So after my freshman year, sitting with Coach Ludolson, he was like, I don't expect you to. And this was the first reality of NBA was from Ludolson. He said, I don't expect you to be here after next year. And I said, excuse me, what? He said, I don't expect you to be. I'm like, oh, this, my grades. Like, I'm over, oh, my grades. No, like, coach, I'm going to summer school. I'm going to get my grades up.
Management class.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to get my grades up. I'm good. Trust me, I'm going to be eligible. I'm really smart. I just thought basketball was more important. He was like, no, I think you're going to be You're better than Mike Bibby is. I was like, oh, I'm better than Mike Bibby was his freshman year. No, no, he said, no, no. I think you're better than Mike Bibby right now, NBA Mike Bibby. So I said, Bibby in NBA, he was the number 10 pick. You think I'm better than him right now? He's like, yeah. So I'm gonna be recruiting another two guard to replace you after next season. And I was like, and my coach thinks I can make it to the NBA. Oh my God. That whole summer I trained like a mad demon.